Hi everyone, today I want to help you get more from your crafting stash, and I'm going to be talking about letterpress plates. Now, there are some beautiful designs of letterpress plates out there on the craft market, but many people think, well, I need to purchase an expensive letterpress machine like the Spellbinders Letterpress to be able to use them, and you absolutely do not. There's lots of different ways that you can be using these without purchasing the machine, so you can get to know whether you really love them or not, and then you can go ahead and make that purchase later on if you wanted to. Now, I have to say, I do have a Letterpress machine and I do love it, but I had so many questions from you asking, when you get a letterpress plate, do you have to have the tool or the machine or the system to go with it? Because some of the designs, like for example, my Textures 2 designs here that I've got, so these are beautiful magnolias, and this one says today is all about you with some stunning foliage around it. You may love these but not want to invest in a full system. So let's talk about what a letterpress plate is. So this is a letterpress plate, and as you can see, it has detail that is raised up. Now, the raised up detail, unlike a metal die, it is not sharp. You can run your fingers over it. They are flat raised areas. And what this does essentially is presses into cardstock or into your paper, and then this leaves an impression, but you can also add ink as well because of the flat areas. Now, letterpress plates are always made of metal, and most of them are also suitable for foiling with as well because they don't cut the cardstock or paper, they simply press into it. So I'm going to put my Letterpress away, and instead I'm just going to bring in my everyday die cutting machine. Now, it doesn't matter which machine you use. I tend to use the Big Shot here, but if you've got any other die cutting machine, you can usually make this work. Now, I also find the perfect cardstock to use is watercolour paper or cardstock because this has a little bit of flexibility, a lot of give in it. It will stretch as well, so you're going to get that beautiful letterpress effect. Just don't go with the watercolour cardstock that's too thin. Make sure you go for a decent weight because otherwise you could end up tearing it rather than stretching it. So I'm going to use my everyday die cutting sandwich, and I'm going to remove the thin blue plate. This is the teal plate that comes in the Big Shot. So you want to ideally take out a shim from your sandwich that is quite thin. So ideally the thickness of the rubber mat that you're going to put in. Now, I like the rubber mats that come from Spellbinders, coincidentally, but there's lots of other brands on the market. And if you don't have a rubber mat, you can experiment with something like maybe some foam or lots of layers of cardstock instead and see whether you get enough flexibility with that. So I'm going to take my top plate away from my sandwich for a moment. I'm going to put a rubber mat down, then my watercolour cardstock down, and then I'm going to place my letterpress plate facing downwards on top. Now, if you want to, you can also tape this in place, but I don't see that's usually necessary, and a clear plate on top. So all I've done that's different to die cutting is just take out this thin plate and put in my rubber mat, ensuring that the design part of your letterpress plate is pressed into your paper and into the rubber mat. And as we run this through, that is going to start pressing into and stretching that watercolor cardstock. Now, you may run this through and find that with your particular machine, it's squeaky like mine, but also you might find there's not enough pressure. This is something only you can determine once you've run it through. And if that is the case, either pop in a second rubber mat or put some shims of cardstock under there. And let's take this out and just have a little look at it. And I'll hold it up to the light like this so you can see there that beautiful emboss that we've got. So that is the letterpress without any ink on it. But of course, letterpress printing is all about adding the ink and getting this look as well. So let's see what happens when we put ink on this too. So when it comes to adding ink, you can add almost any ink you like. I like pigment inks, but dye inks do also work well. The idea with pigment inks for me is that I can see them better on the letterpress plate, so I can make sure that I haven't smudged anything. Now, because this is metal, I'm not swiping or going around in circles. I'm tapping the ink onto my plate, and I've put a piece of scrap paper underneath just to protect my surface. Now, this time I am going to tape down my design because I don't want this to move with the ink on. So I'm going to pick it up just from the very edges, flip this over, place it down onto my cardstock gently, and once it's down, I'm not going to move it. And then I'm going to take a little bit of low tack tape, press down there, and then again on the other side as well, and do exactly the same. I'm going to run this through in the same way as I did when we just got the plain emboss. Now again, I'm going to be really careful at lifting this up from the edges because I don't want the ink to smudge anywhere else. So taking that, and you will need to give that a wipe and a thorough dry to get the ink off, unless of course you're going to go ahead and do some more impressions. But look how beautiful that print is, and we've also got the emboss too. Now if I turn that over, you can see the deboss on this side, which is actually another really lovely effect, and you can absolutely be using this side if you like, but it is a slightly more blurry image. Now depending on the ink you use, of course, now you can go in with your alcohol pens, your watercolors, whichever you like, to enhance that image, or you could just use it as simple monotone. Now you can use letterpress plates in foiling machines, and there's lots and lots of videos out there on YouTube where you can find out how to do that. So I'm not going to cover that today. I'm going to show you how to get a foiled look if, again, a foiling machine isn't something that you've yet invested in. So when I'm foiling, again, I do still like to use the watercolour cardstock. Now this is just because I'm going to get those indentations to get that letterpress look again, but you don't have to. And I'm going to brush over with an anti-static bag because I'm going to be using embossing powder eventually. So placing this on my rubber mat once again, my mat is a slightly different shape, but that's fine. It will just cover the areas that I need. And I'm also going to take my plate. I'm going to this time use the Textures Today is All About You plate. And I'm simply going to cover this with a watermark ink. So this is an embossing ink, and this is the same sort of ink as I would use if I was heat embossing with a stamp. And I'm going to press this all over the surface. This is a very, very sticky ink, and it will take a long time to dry. You can also do this with other pigment inks, but I always think the longer you've got to apply your powder, the better, and also to remove any stray bits of powder before you start heat setting. It just makes your project much neater, so I do go for an embossing ink. Again, I'm just going to pick this up from the very, very edges and turn this over, gently place it down, so making sure that all areas of the design are going to be on the mat, so the mat is underneath, and I'm going to once again just tape down the two corners and press the plate over the top and run this through. Now it's a good idea before you get to this stage to have already chosen the embossing powder that you want to use and have it out and ready. Just as we did with the black ink, we're going to very carefully lift off. Now be aware that your embossing powder may well stick where your tape was. Now we can see the design there is embossed beautifully. Now to put everything else aside and do the embossing, make sure you do have a scrap of paper to capture your powder as well. And your powder is just going to sit into the grooves there. So it's going to sit really nicely and neatly. It actually makes it really easy to brush off any stray powder that you don't want. I'm going to give this a tap. Now watercolour cardstock does absorb the ink, I find, much quicker, so you need to be relatively fast with your heating. Now I'm heating from underneath. I just find this gives me a little bit of extra insurance against blowing away any particles from where I'd like them to stay before they're melted. So there's a beautiful foiled effect as well, and again you do have the deboss on the other side. You don't have to go with the letterpress, so you don't have to use watercolour cardstock. That will give you that stretch and that emboss, but I do think it leaves an absolutely beautiful and really realistic foiled look. Now another way to use your letterpress plates is to simply stamp with them. Now you're not going to get that letterpress embossed look with this, but you are going to get just the beautiful design inked and stamped. So once again, I'm going to ink up my letterpress plate on a scrap of paper first of all, and I'm using an ink that I can see nice and clearly to ensure that I've got it in all the correct places. Now, if you like the look of these two letterpress plates, you'll find them all linked in the description down below under the brand Textures. I'm going to place this into my stamping platform. Now, with this stamping platform, I'm not actually able to attach the die or the letterpress in the same way as I would a stamp, so I'm putting it onto my base. I'm going to remove my magnets because I don't need these, and I'm going to tape a piece of cardstock or paper of my choice to the stamping platform, but this time to the plate that lifts up and over, so the clear plate. And I'm just going to do this on the edge. So at the moment my cardstock is not cut down to size. I will cut that down a little while later, and it doesn't matter then if I have any residue from the sticky tape. And I'm simply going to turn this over and press down onto the plate. And as long as you're careful not to move the letterpress plate underneath, you can do this a couple of times to get a full impression. Now, this is the first way I tried to stamp any letterpress plate, but because of the lack of flexibility between things like the base and the lid, you may get a few missed areas, and I'm going to show you how you can avoid this. So rather than having your letterpress plate just on the standard platform there without anything underneath, I would bring in a rubber mat as well if you're getting this issue. Again, there are lots of alternatives to the rubber mat if you don't have one, but I'm just going to place this underneath. So a shim of some layers of cardstock will also work, or a piece of fun foam. Now, once again, I'm going to adhere my cardstock to the plate there and turn that over. This time you've got a little bit of extra pressure from underneath, and you've got a little bit of flexibility if you need it. The rubber mat can also prevent the letterpress plate from sliding around at all. And there I've got a much better impression. Again, this is smooth rather than being embossed. So as you can see from the back, there's no emboss there at all, but I have got a lovely impression that I can go in and I can colour in if I want to. Now, we've already got quite a few ways of using the letterpress plates without the letterpress machine or a similar letterpress machine, but I've got another idea for you that you'll love if you're into your mixed media. Now, I love gel plate printing, so I'm going to impress my letterpress design into my ink or my paint, whatever I'm using, before I then create the design. Now, one of my go-to ways to create gel plate prints is with distress oxides or distress inks, and I'm going to do the same here. So I'm going to press some ink into my plate. Now, this is always a little harder to see, but once we create the pull, you'll be able to see it nicely. I'm using Aged Mahogany and Villainous Potion, and I'm going to brayer these just to spread the colour around. And now I'm going to press my letterpress plate carefully into the ink. So I'm pressing down, and you should only get the raised areas touching the ink at all. And be very careful not to touch the ink surrounding. Here you may want to use some tweezers to lift the plate up from the corner. And then you can go ahead and create your pull. So press my paper down in, burnish it all over, and lift up. And we have that beautiful impression. It's absolutely stunning and so pretty. And lastly, whilst I have my Distress Oxides and my brayer out, I want to show you one more thing that you can be doing with your letterpress pieces once you've created them. Now, this is referring to the ones where you didn't add ink. This is such a pretty effect. I'm going to brayer some ink from my ink pad and go over the surface of the design. Now I'm going to go top to bottom to start with, and then once I've covered that, as you can see, some of the areas are starting to pick up already. I'm going to go left to right. And once you've covered your piece, you've picked up all the raised areas, and you can clearly see the white areas that are the deboss left over. And I would definitely suggest trying this on the reverse as well to see what other sort of effect you're going to get, because as you can see there, it's absolutely stunning, and it may just be the look that you're going for your particular project. So there's lots of ways of using letterpress plates without needing the system to go with it. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, don't forget to give me a subscribe, and a thumbs up would be amazing. And I think you're also going to like this video just here. Take care, everybody. I'll see you soon.